What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review, but I'm going to be reviewing the Braxtons this season. I know I missed reviewing this on time, but I was under the weather, and y'all, I am back, okay? We are in season 2. This is episode 1, and I can't lie. For me, this was a horrible opening. Horrible opening to the season, and here's why. First of all, why are we relying on these kids to have storylines? First, we had Tracy's son, okay? Tracy passed away. All last season, it was little Kevin this, little Kevin that, and how much we hate his daddy, okay? Now, we got this season coming around. We're bringing up another relative that we do not know like that. And this is no offense to Ashley, but we don't know Ashley like that. So, I'm not understanding how this storyline got brought back up. I shouldn't say this storyline being brought back up, but this situation being brought up this season. Because I think that she said all this on social media a couple of years ago. So why are we trying to hash it out now? But y'all, I'm going to be completely honest. Y'all may not like my opinions on this video. And that's okay, because we all have differences. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Tamar, first of all, why are you trying to tell everybody that you're now a full-time cast member and how you're so excited to do that as if you were not on almost every episode last season? Girl, we do not care, okay? Because to me, it sounds like now you're getting a full paycheck before you weren't. I guess. Moving on from there, we start this episode off with a fast forward. We have all the sisters meeting up, right? They start the conversation off about Ashley, okay? Now, Ashley is their brother Michael's child. And she posted some videos online about some family issues. Tamar, she has a podcast, and she planned on interviewing Ashley, right? However, Tamar says that she wanted to come, from a safe place and be the safe place for her niece to tell her story, but baby, I don't believe it. I'm sorry, if this happened some years ago, you mean to tell me when you get a podcast, that's when you want your niece to come speak her truth? Is it because you don't have nothing going on, Tamar, or you don't want to share your personal life, so you decided to bring your niece on the show? I'm just trying to make sense of this, because it does not make sense that we're talking about this situation now. Nonetheless, I'm giving a side eye to the whole family, period. Point blank in the period. But I've always given this family a side eye. We have Tony. She didn't like this idea. According to Tamar, Tony said that, she wanted Ashley to come on the show. However, Tamar got this cease and desist letter, so she can't put out her podcast, okay? And Tamar feels like they're stopping her bag. They're stopping her business. You can put out other episodes. They just don't want you to put out that episode, okay? Now, we have Trina and Tawana. Both of them swear that it's not them. They did not, put their names on this cease and desist letter. Who do I think did it? Hell, it could have been this girl own daddy. Who knows? But also, it could have been Tony. I'm not going to put it to past Tony. I just feel like Tony ain't never fucked with her sisters. And we can see it clear as day, even in this scene. Because Tamar is going on and on about how nobody has her back. And how, she feels like Tony didn't have her back. And Tony like, I ain't have your back. And she's like, nope, you didn't have my back. So then Tamar says that, again, Tony wanted her to be on the show. And Tony's like, no, I didn't. Now, according to Tony, she called, I think she called Tamar's podcast a chitlin circuit. And I'm like, damn, you have no faith in your sister, okay? Baby, it's bad. Tamar stands up. Tony raises up. I think a glass was knocked off the table. Yeah, it's getting real intense, okay? Now, I'm not going to try to comment too much on this particular scene just yet, because we don't have the full context. Honestly, we don't have the full context of none of this shit. If we want to be completely honest, I need for TV shows to stop doing this bullshit where they decide, some shit happened on social media. We can't say exactly what happened, but we're going to tiptoe around what the fuck was said and have these people talk about it on the show. Because y'all, The first half of this show was bullshit. The fact that we all have to go Google some shit and be like, well, what did the niece say? What was said? What was done? What sister did what? It's confusing. And I don't think that we should have to do all that shit. Love and Marriage Huntsville, they do the same shit. All this stuff go down on social media, but we don't want to talk about it in the way that it should be. They don't address stuff head on. So, we gonna roll it back, okay? We see Tamar, she meets up with Ashley. And Tamar, she feels like she can relate to her niece because the family hasn't always been in her corner. Okay, cool. So, we learned that Ashley has been in Spain. She's acting. She's been there for a while. She don't plan on coming back to America. And here's the thing that was weird for me. Tamar, you're doing all of that, like, rolling of the neck, snapping of the lips, and it just be too much sometimes. Also, when both of them was licking them glasses, what the fuck was that? That was weird. So, here we go. Tamar says that she has not seen Ashley since her sister's funeral, right? And Tamar then goes on to say that she doesn't know what happened. So then we also see like this little like clip of like a news article to say like, yo, she passed away. So then Tamar says that all she knows is that it sounds like the niece was celebrating a birthday party. Yeah, celebrating her birthday. She was with her girlfriend. And then, the way Tamar phrased it, it was like, oh yeah. And then, like, they were partying and it went left. Y'all, I had to do a Google search. I said, what did this young lady die of? And unfortunately, she passed away from a drug overdose. So then, this further confused me because you have Ashley saying how she could have passed away the same way. Like, I'm like, well, did you have a drug problem? Because if you didn't have a drug problem, then how was that going to work? You know what? I'm not about to go there. Never mind. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it where it's at. Okay? So then, this whole scene, honestly, they were talking in circles. This whole episode, it was a lot of talking in circles. And episode 2, y'all got to do better. Okay? Tamar ends up asking Ashley if she's concerned about what the family will think about all the stuff that she has to say and like how the family will feel about it. And the only thing she said was, well, you know, I'm saying a lot. And then Tamar, when she said that, Tamar is reacting as if this girl just spilled so much tea. And I'm like, she ain't said shit. Not trying to be funny, but like, all she said was, yeah, I mean, I'm saying a lot. Well, girl, what's the lot? Okay? So now Ashley feels like, you know, she needs to share her story. Okay, fine. That's great. You want to share your story. However, Tamar, she says that, you know, this is not a messy move on her behalf because she's had Trina on the show. Y'all, Tamar's full of shit. And here's why I'm saying this. You had Trina on your talk show, on your podcast, and what did y'all talk about? Did you address this? Because if you didn't, then you are being messy. It's one thing to bring your sister on the show and y'all talk about whatever foolishness that y'all talk about. But unless she addressed this specific topic, I think that you're being messy. I think Tamar does not have a real storyline, and she's using this to get back at her sisters. Because I find it random. Y'all, the fact that she's so adamant about doing a podcast is kind of bothering me. Because I'm like, oh, so that way you can get the views and you can get the money from it? I see what you're doing. Because to me, if you're an aunt, if you are a real aunt, and your niece has an issue with your sister, okay? They have literally poured their heart out to the internet saying some things happened to them in the past and they're still like dealing with issues from that. And your first reaction is, hey, let me get you on my podcast so we can talk about it. That would never be my first reaction. I would definitely be like, hey, I know things are rocky between you and my sister, but you know what? I really think that y'all need to have a conversation so that way we can, heal from this. Because here's the thing. This is a family situation, and we can't just keep having this girl go on this show only talk to Tamar. Then she goes on a podcast, only talking to Tamar, and never talking to Trina. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be weird if that's what happens. I feel like as an aunt, Tamar, you swear you done been so healed and all it is. What I'm not understanding is why didn't you be like, you know what? I'll be the middle ground, and I also want to bring in a therapist, and I want you and Trina to have a conversation. I understand that. I absolutely understand you being an aunt. And then, after they have the conversation, after there's actual healing happening to where both of them get some understanding, then I can understand if you were to be like, you know what, and then Ashley, you can come on my podcast and share your story. Because to me, that's when the healing has been done. But the way Tamar is going about it, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not a fan. Do I think that Ashley should tell her story? Absolutely. But it's all in the way people are doing it. Because technically, she already told the story to the internet, okay? She's already told the story to the internet. And if we are all for healing, let's actually try to heal. And unfortunately, sometimes with healing, it comes those hard conversations. So yes, there needs to be a conversation between Ashley and Trina. And instead of, Tamar being the sister to be like, hey, I really want y'all to work this out. I'm going to, set up some type of middle ground for y'all. You're not doing that. Okay? So, besides that, Tamar, she goes on to tell the producers that she feels like Ashley has regressed because the producers asked her, do you feel like your niece has healed? And she's like, no, she's regressed because of the way the family has handled the situation. Again, I'm not trying to be mean at all, but I'm just saying, you are saying that this girl has already come to the internet, right? And told her truth. Okay, fine. Now, she's going to go on your platform and bring it up again. At this point, this is a couple of years later. Still ain't talked to Trina. There hasn't been any conversations happening. So we're going to bring it up again. So now the family is blindsided again, yet y'all two are just in cahoots to do the podcast. The rest of the family is like, what do you mean y'all doing a podcast? And what y'all talking about? Oh, y'all bringing this up again? Let me tell y'all something. I just feel like this would play so differently if we actually got the people involved to have a conversation instead of this, I got to tell my storyline. Because yes, you can tell your story, but I just personally feel like when it comes to this situation, and when Tamar said that Tony wanted to bring Ashley on the show, do I think that Tony said that? Yes. I do think that Tony said, yeah, Ashley should come on the show, and her and Trina should have I think that she's thinking her and Trina should have a conversation, and that way we can get to the bottom of this. Both of them can heal, and we can move forward as a family. I don't think she means her doing a podcast because, okay, Ashley's going to do your podcast, and then what's next? Everybody's going to react to the podcast. This is how social media works. Everybody's going to react to what Ashley says. They're going to dog walk Trina. And what healing is happening from there? None. There's nothing that Trina can say at that point. We're never going to get her actual side of the story because we're not doing the actual work. I'm sorry. And I don't think that Trina even has a side of the story. But what I mean by that is like, you're not even giving Trina the moment to apologize. Or at least get clarity of like where she messed up. Because let me tell you something, a lot of people, they do wrong stuff. And I don't think they realize the wrong that they're doing. And the only reason why I'm mentioning that is because later on down the line, after this whole incident happened, Ashley was around. Ashley was on tour with the girls, and it wasn't brought up to Trina. So Trina's thinking that they're all good. You get what I'm saying? And she don't realize how much harm that all of this has done to Ashley. Like, y'all, I just have to be completely honest. How many times have we seen family members of famous people go public, they air out all the dirty laundry, and then we don't really get to see a resolve, okay? And I'm just like, I need for us to operate in a different way. As people as a whole, I am all for everybody sharing their journey, talking about their life. But I do feel like at a certain point, especially in this situation, considering this was a conversation that was had like 3 years ago that Ashley brought all this up, I don't understand how nobody was able to reach out to Ashley and be like, hey, as a family, we all need to step up and we need to go ahead and comfort her, see where we all went wrong, and everybody has some accountability to go around, okay? Now Tamar, she does mention how she kind of sees herself in Ashley because she's been the outcast and all the things. And I will say this, Tamar, yes, you have been the outcast of the family sometimes, and because of the antics that you bring, a lot of people discredit you. Hell, I'm low-key discrediting you right now when it comes to this podcast situation, just because I feel like, Tamar, you could have handled this in a different way. I just feel that way. But moving on from there, y'all, we then got to get over here to Tawanda and Trina, baby. When I tell you I can't stand these two sisters, okay? Every time they in cahoots together, I want no parts of it. All right? Now, Tawanda is over here yelling to the rooftops about how she's engaged. Baby, we don't care. Also, I was intrigued, though, to know that she never had a wedding, but she's been married. I was like, damn, that nigga was a bum the whole time. The whole damn time. That's horrible. But nonetheless, I don't care about them not being able to use a ninja slushy maker. I don't care. The ladies talk about Ashley. And y'all, again, while we're seeing this scene, it's going back and forth with the Tamar and Ashley scene. And it was pissing me off because all of this sound like they're talking in circles. Okay? We don't know exactly what happened, what the text messages were. We know nothing. We just know that there were some text messages sent by Gabe, Trina's ex-husband, that were absolutely inappropriate. Okay? Now, when we get to Trina and Tawanda's conversation, Trina, she's very bothered by this whole thing, and she feels like maybe Ashley took the opportunity and didn't think of the repercussions. Those were her words, and I do kind of feel like here's the thing about people telling their story. When you tell your story and there's other people involved, those other people are always going to feel away. Because it's always going to be well, you could have came to me. You didn't have to take this to social media. But here's the thing. In this situation, I do feel like if Ashley would have tried to have a conversation just one-on-one with Trina, I think that kind of would have went left. Because it sounds to me, or at least this is how I'm hearing the story, okay? Y'all let me know if I'm getting this wrong. I have not seen Ashley's videos, so if y'all know what happened or what went down, correct me, please. To me, it sounds like Gabe sent some inappropriate text messages to Ashley, right? Now, I don't know if Ashley engaged in the conversation with that man, or like was she flirting back with him, or was this like she got some text messages that was crazy and she went on ahead and told her daddy or told her auntie like, hey, your husband's sending me this crazy stuff. I don't know what that situation was, okay? But it sounds to me like at some point Trina left Gabe. Now, I don't know if this was a final straw in a situation, because I know at some point Trina and Gabe separated. However, some time went by and they got back together. Now, by Trina getting back with Gabe, that could have actually, messed Ashley up to be like, damn, you knew he was trifling. He was texting me when I was underage and you got back with him. Why would you do that? Okay? That's one thing I'm thinking. But also, I think that Ashley may also be triggered because the way Trina has reacted since Gabe has died. Hell, her own husband is like, girl, you crying too much. You've been crying for days and weeks. Like, we know he dead, but come on now. And I feel like that may also have an effect on Ashley and how she's reacting. I don't know. But here's what I will say. Trina, if you know that this man, he sent some inappropriate text to your underage niece, that should have been cause for divorce, and we're not going back there. We're not getting back together. I understand. He was the breadwinner. He took care of your boys when they're not even his kids. I get all of that. But Gabe was fucked up in the head if he's trying to approach a like 15, 16-year-old girl. Okay? Point blank in the period. Now, here's my thing. If Ashley did engage in a conversation with that man, okay? Because let's call a thing here. A lot of times 16-year-olds, they operate as if they know what they doing. Because, you know, people would be 16 thinking that they're 18, which we've taught them that they're grown, okay? If she did engage in a flirtatious way with Gabe, there should have been a conversation had. And I don't mean a conversation that says, Ashley, you're fast and all of this stuff. Because we got to stop that shit. Teenagers, they're growing up. They are no longer little kids. They have hormones. They like people. It's all the things come when you're a teenager, okay? But the conversation could have absolutely been had to say, hey, this was inappropriate. That man should have never reached out to you in that type of way. And also at the same time, as a young lady, please do not try to, go down this route of messing around with these older men because they take advantage of you. They try to manipulate you. Like, really try to put her on game. If you know what I'm saying? If she was engaging in a conversation. But if Ashley literally went to her dad or went to her aunt to be like, hey, this is inappropriate. Like, first off the bat, it should be, Ashley, thank you for feeling comfortable enough to have come to me to let me know that this is what's going on. And if that's the case, Trina, again, you should have never went back to that man. There's no reason why Trina ever went back to Gabe after this. Okay? Do I believe Ashley? Yes. Do I feel like the way this whole situation is being handled, do I like it? No. Now, back to the conversation. We do see Trina basically say that she's not trying to victimize the victim. And Tawanda's like, okay, well, you're a victim as well because you're just a victim on the other side of this. I was like, what are we talking about? So I'm going to assume that Tawanda is trying to say you are a victim of Gabe, playing in your face, going after your niece, and that's betrayal. Okay? I get all of that. But again, I don't understand how she circled the block. Like, girl, what? Nonetheless, we then have them talking in circles, y'all. Talking in circles, saying how, Trina, she didn't actually do anything. And yes, Trina, you may not have actually done anything to your niece. However, it sounds like your actions are what has, made your niece feel a type of way. You getting back with Gabe. I'm wondering if there was ever a conversation where your niece said, hey, you got back with him and he was trying to talk to me when I was a teenager? Like, was there ever a conversation had there? Or, this is why I've been wondering if the niece flirted back. Did Trina have that idea of, oh, well, she flirted back with my husband, she was out of line, and she was fast. You get what I'm saying? There's different ways to approach situations. And I feel like nothing was approached the correct way. Okay? Now, Trina also mentioned that I guess after this video was released, she tried to reach out to her niece, but since Ashley has been in another country, she has changed her number. The family can't even get in contact with her. So that kind of makes me wonder, Tamar, how did you get in contact with Ashley? Does she still talk to you on a regular? Did you have to slide into her DMs? How did we get here? I'm just curious. And Trina, she does say that she embraced her niece after it happened and apologized after it happened. But again, y'all, like I said, if this is something that happened, because keep in mind, Ashley is probably, late 20s, early 30s at this point. I definitely feel like this is something that happened from that first round of the marriage with Gabe. And then she took him back later. You know what I'm saying? Now, Trina does say that if Ashley needed something additional from her, then she should have said something. Here's the thing. I think that Ashley knows how y'all operate. Okay, y'all her aunties. Y'all been her aunties. I feel like she already knew there was no getting through to you. Because if you took Gabe back, she probably already knew that there's no conversation to be had. Because let's really have a conversation. For a lot of women, baby, you're not coming between me and my man. We literally got girls walking around, my man, my man, my man. He could dog walk her ass. He could cheat on her 1,000 billion times. She will still take him back. But when your family call you out about shit like that, you drop the family members. You don't want them to be involved in your relationship. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it happen time and time again. And I don't think that Trina is no different. Okay? I think she's a very much, you're not going to come between me and my husband. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely see that being a thing. Now, this is one thing that Tawanda said that I do agree with. She said that, this all could have been a conversation, considering they were all hanging out, they toured together, and everyone's under the impression that Ashley was in a good place. Okay? Now, Trina, she says that, for healing to be done, it should be done, with the masses in view. And I can't lie, y'all, I kind of agree. Because I feel like all of this is just going to get even more messy. Because think about it. We started off with Ashley opening up about what happened with her when she was younger. The issue sounds like it's between her and Trina, right? Instead of her and Trina having a conversation, meeting with a mediator, meeting with a therapist, meeting with somebody that can actually help them get through this conversation, that is a very hard conversation, we out here trying to do a podcast. Okay, now that's led to a whole nother conversation because now the sisters are fighting. This has now blown up to a bigger situation that it did not have to be. And again, I feel like as adults, we have got to change the way we operate. But I get it. We're filming TV, but at what cost? You know what I'm saying? Trina over there getting emotional and tearing up. And that was pretty much the gist of it. As far as the rest of the episode, y'all, we got Tawanda in a bad wig. She's saying that she's directing and she's acting and she's doing some Tubi movies. I've never seen her in anything. Have y'all? Because that acting was looking bad. Moving on. Tamar. She is prepping for a tour with October London. And she out here getting a liquid butt lift. I have never heard of that. Y'all let me know. Has anyone gotten a liquid butt lift? Now, I just cannot take that scene seriously because one minute Tamar had makeup on. The next minute she didn't. She ran out with the glam artist. I'm like, this is too much. Moving on. Evelyn and Trina, they meet up. We learned that Trina is now a real estate agent. And we also learned that the ladies are going to Mexico for Tawanda's bachelorette party. I did chuckle when Evelyn was saying how she don't miss being married. And I'm like, not trying to be rude, but that lady has been single longer than she was married. What's there to miss? I'm not trying to be mean, y'all. But at this rate, she literally has been single longer than she's been married. What are we talking about? So we see Toni. She's in LA. She's meeting with some TV producers because now she wants to get into TV production, I guess. She's talking about this project that she wants to do about how women have to pay alimony and make a TV show based off of that. And I'm just like, yeah, but you're going to need a bit more oomph. Because just because women are paying alimony and women are making more money, what else? You got to go deeper into that storyline. Then she went on to talk about a different show that she wanted to produce. Okay, Toni. Cool. That's fine. The last scene, we actually see Tamar. She is taping the podcast with Ashley. And y'all, this is her first live podcast. I said, oh, baby, that's an interesting choice. This is your first live podcast. You know that this situation is very deep. It's close to home. It's emotional. And you decide for it to be live? Tamar, you on some bullshit. You just own some bullshit. And that's how I feel. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this episode. How do we feel about the Braxtons? How do we feel about the situation with Ashley and Gabe and Trina? Y'all let me know. And if y'all know more about the story of what actually happened, please let me know in the comments, because I could be wrong. And I'll admit if I'm wrong, okay? But yeah, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.